Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. If Dr. London can force you to listen to his medical lessons just so you can hear the rest of the podcast, then guess what? This is no longer a free country, and that should concern everybody regardless of party.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, Dr. LondonSmith.com. I'd like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as
exophthalmos and the peppy puppy, the prince presented, the princess produced piles of poop in the palace.
So I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Taste. Ooh, I'm getting hints of marshmallow. Oh, Dr. London. I didn't realize we were even starting. I'm just enjoying my fresh batch of my new fall microbrew.
Yeah, I see.
Buddy Beer is back, fall edition.
Oh boy. Okay, so this, for anyone kind of new to the podcast, Cameron had his own microbrew that he was making. He was making this beer.
The microest of brews.
It was tiny. You could barely see it.
Tiny. Yeah.
And perhaps because of that, he did market it primarily towards children.
You had to get out not even a microscope, but a telescope.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know that would work, but in any case, so he did this, made this thing, and it was a little bit successful. But the downside was that once again he marketed towards children aged roughly 5 to 8 years old, and
cool kids, yeah, for sure.
And
kids are gonna drink. I mean, we did it in high school. It's just like kids are gonna drink, so you want them to be responsible about it.
So because you heard about the laws in, say, Italy, where you might be able to drink wine at 14, 16 years old, whatever. And you're saying, well, if they're that much in control as adults, let's bump the age back another few years. Let's start them even earlier, and they'll be that much more responsible later.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you start teaching a kid how to drive at 16, which I think is the stupidest thing that we do, then that kid is not going to be a good driver until he's like 18.
Yeah, or in his 70s, yeah.
But if I've got my toddler in my lap, little Cameron Jr., and he's turning the wheel and he's getting an actual feel for the control of how this works. I drive a stick, so he's got to learn, how to deal with the clutch and shifting gears.
And he has to do the clutch. That's his responsibility.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be there for him forever to do this, so of course. Yeah. This is all besides the point. Why are we talking about cars?
Yeah, we were getting to how I guess you tried to forcefully lower the age limit for drinking by marketing towards children. One of the problems, though, aside from giving alcohol to those so young, was the suicidality,
it was mostly suicidal ideation that it sort of became.
I would say not even a side effect.
I would say
the main effect.
Exactly. I would say a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, which once again, I think that's a negative, but that's not good.
It's just leaning into the qualities that you have. You work with what you got. Of course, I wouldn't necessarily want that if I was given a list of side effects.
Yeah, so your new microbrew,
but this one is not geared towards kids. Like we've already talked about.
That's
this podcast has changed demographics.
Oh, right.
It is almost exclusively the elderly.
Okay.
People 90 plus. Yes. So we are gearing the beer towards that demographic here, and instead of giving them suicidal thoughts or anything like that, it's actually giving them the exact opposite. They want to live extremely badly, which unfortunately has become terrifying for them.
Yeah, that does sound
because they're very old and they were sort of like coming to terms with death. Now they are unbelievably terrified of death, and it's sort of causing a lot of existential crises in senior homes and my own grandparents and all sorts of things.
Yeah, and that's got to be difficult because, as you said, it's 90 plus. If they're in their 80s, you actually don't let them. Like, that they are not, you check their IDs, you're like, well, I'm sorry, you're not old enough yet. You only market to those 90 plus or with terminal illnesses.
Yeah, and of course people are going to have their fake IDs. Like, again, I know that kids are going to, 75-year-old kids are going to get their drink somehow. But generally, yes, I'm going to check their IDs 90 plus. That's sort of what we're aiming for.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, has it been successful? It seems like, with the last one, the marketing worked, but...
Oh, yeah, no, it's been incredibly successful. That's what I was saying. Almost every nursing home in the area has their residents just screaming with a terrified fear of death, and now just an extreme desire to try to live forever.
And that's your measure. So I was talking about sales of the beer.
Oh no! I mean, yeah, because all of them are drinking the beer.
So yeah, because you were saying it as if
sales have been great.
The measure of success was how much they're screaming, rather than saying profits.
Again, you work with the qualities you're given. I don't necessarily want that to be the statistic that I have to use to measure success. But if that's what's there, that's what I have to take.
It's
but anyway,
decibel levels in the nursing
It's
homes.
new fall flavors, Dr. London. I don't know if you've seen all these craft drinks that have popped up in the last 5 years or whatever, where it's like marshmallow beer or pumpkin beer,
Cracker
or whatever.
Jack beer.
So, yeah, exactly. So we've got all new fall flavors. Of course, we have our pumpkin beer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have leafies.
Yeah, you have the jambalaya.
Why is fall called fall? It's it's the leafies. You're trying to move on beyond the leafy aspect. Leafies fall from trees.
Yeah, and I'll admit, because I have sampled that one, and for one thing, obviously, I was so terrified of death from that sip, but also, it tasted a lot like whenever I've put leaves in my mouth before.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you get the dirt, you get the hint that maybe a squirrel had run across it at one point.
Yeah, and just crumbling and dying.
Yes.
Which only reinforced my whole fear of death at that moment.
Oh, yeah, because then you're sort of imagining yourself as just a fragile leaf in the grand scheme of life that might be crushed.
Yeah, well, and I feel like I'm tasting death.
Oh, okay, so that is a bad batch. If you taste death, that is a bad batch.
Okay.
I would report that to our distributor because, we need to... Quality control has been iffy for sure.
Okay. I feel like that's not a great thing to say for that, but
But anyway, like you said, we've got the jambalaya flavor because obviously, jambalaya is extremely associated with autumn. That's a thing everyone knows.
And beer, yeah.
Yeah, and so we've got our Oktoberfest Ale, and of course that's separate from the pumpkin beer because it's not about being pumpkin-y or anything like that. It's
Drinking
more
a
about
whole lot
fried
of beer.
foods.
Yeah, that.
Ooh, no, this is the more Americanized version of Oktoberfest where it's a lot of fair foods, corn dogs, sort of all that shit just sort of jumbled in there.
Like fried Nutella.
Yeah, anything like that.
Fried Nutella was also a separate flavor of your beer as well.
Yeah, extremely fall taste of fried Nutella. I remember, October rolling around and the weather's getting chilly and my mom just giving me my first fried Nutella of the fall.
Yeah.
We've got Bonfire, so it tastes like ash. That one is supposed to sort of taste like death.
I was gonna say.
So that one's different because again, it's built into the description.
Okay.
That one, yes, it's supposed to taste like wood and ash.
Okay. And if sales have been going well, it's hard for me to question.
And do you have one of these you want to try? You see my whole collection here.
Yeah, so I tried the leaf one, the Levy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try this. Yeah, okay. So this one's...
Ooh, which one did you pick out?
Yeah, so this one's just the fried Twinkies.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Classic fall fair food.
Yeah. So let me just... Oh, am I okay? Check my pulse. Okay, am I? I don't feel great. I guess I should go exercise. Cardiovascular exercise is how to stay alive longer. Okay.
Do you feel like a tiny little speck in the grand beach that is the universe? You're just a single grain of sand.
Just the slightest wind, the tiny breeze could destroy me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the beer is working. It's doing as it's intended. Fantastic.
Boy. Okay.
This is great.
Yeah, I'm just. That honestly, I don't always say this about alcoholic beverages, but this is actually giving me a lot of anxiety. Like this is.
Yeah.
The existential dread is something. Anyway, so
but you should be happy, Dr. London, because not a lot of people younger than 90 get to actually try this. You are a very, very privileged little boy.
Thank you, sir. Anyways, so that's our producer Cameron. Also with us is Digital in the house.
Digital in the house.
I can tell all my friends think I'm running in circles, getting nowhere faster. But after all of this disaster, I'm finding I'm a little temperamental. I would rather wait and see what's lifting me beyond what I could ever reach. And everything is like heat. Everything is like it now.
And later, Cameron tells us we can expect a special guest.
That is correcto, Dr. Londono.
All right, so look forward to that. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. This note comes from the Cloud.
I don't just hold on.
Okay.
Just a real quick, like, you tell our audience, hey, so look forward to that. But like, if they were looking forward to that, they wouldn't have to be told. And so it just seems sort of commanding, being like, look forward to that.
Well,
we know that our audience is looking forward to that.
I'm not positive about that. A lot of our audience, they're not the most, they don't know how to be given one bit of information and assume more information based on that.
Oh, yeah, context is very difficult for them.
Yeah, just with they're 90 plus years old and they're terrified of dying. I don't want to... telling them to look forward to something is more hopeful than what they're usually told.
Yeah, because obviously being 90 plus, a lot of memory issues in general. And while the Buddy beer does give them a lot of memories, it's only the most terrifying ones that reinforce the reality of death.
Yeah, so
close calls, losing loved ones. These are the memories that are sort of jogged when you have a taste of my cinnamon apple flavor.
Yeah. So for that reason, I would say like it's okay for them to look forward to it and to be reminded that, yeah, you should look forward to this guest. I think it's going to be a great guest. It's going to be a reason to live a little longer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, for this listener feedback, this note comes from The Cloud. That's where we keep a lot of our stuff now. This is a cloud.
Yeah.
So this note comes from there. It reads, quote,
This is a storage unit in Fort Worth, right? Called The Cloud.
This is a kind of a one-way communication. I didn't ask all the details.
Okay.
But I'd have to assume.
Yeah.
It was in some Fort at least. Quote, I heard that you are starting a fashion line. What is so fashionable about a line? End quote. So, yeah, so they make a great point.
I
But-
disagree,
Well-
I guess. I would say a line is maybe the most fashionable thing you could possibly imagine. It's the basis of many different styles, whether it be pinstripes or plaid.
Okay. So they asked what is so fashionable. So we don't need to be so harsh. You're just answering the question. Okay.
Okay,
So
I'm just saying,
pinstripe plaid.
what is so fashionable about it? It is, it's the second dimension, right?
Yeah, I was going to
It's a
say
line.
they made a great point, and then if you have two great points, that's a line.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, to that listener, I hope that answers your question. And
And Carl Sagan used to say, if you were to be flat like in the second degree, then you would be in the flat world, and then that would be you wouldn't be able to see the sides of the lines.
I love that quote.
When you would be able to look at it from the 3D, you'd be able to see all the lines, and then so think of that stretching out to then the 4D.
And for our listeners,
And Carl Sagan used to always say that,
Yeah.
flat world.
Cameron's geeking out right now
My favorite book.
because he has that written out on his wall in big letters. That whole quote. He loves that quote. All right. Anyway, so to that listener, thank you for listening. And if any of you want to reach out to us, we are at Jock Podcast on social media. Go ahead and let us know your questions. I don't know if they'll measure up to the questions about Fashion Line, but by golly, we'll try to answer them. Now for today's medical topic, Plummer-Vinson Syndrome. Plummer-Vinson Syndrome is characterized by difficulty with swallowing that is associated with iron deficiency anemia.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about my uncle, the Plummer-Vincent?
I could be, but to my knowledge,
Because you said, what did you say, trouble swallowing?
no. Yes.
Because, yes, every Thanksgiving, if someone's going to choke and someone's going to have to get the Heimlich remover, the Heimlich remover?
Yeah, I know about the Heimlich remover.
Then it's always going to be Plummer-Vincent, my uncle.
Because in your family, the Heimlich remover in your family is one of those reaching claw things.
Yes, it's a grabber claw that you shove down the throat of my uncle. Yeah.
And what's funny is I don't know that Dr. Heimlich actually came up with that claw. So I don't know why it's named after him.
That's just one of those things. I don't know. It's probably branding, I would say.
Okay.
I don't know why everything is named the way it is.
Okay. Well, so
why is it the Frito-Lay company when Fritos are not the main chip of that brand? Lay's would be, right? Or even Cheetos or Doritos.
yeah.
But they choose Fritos for the brand name?
I mean,
No way that's their most important chip.
Nope.
okay. I don't mean to set you off. I know you get angry about these things, but so it's a difficulty with swallowing. Plummer-Vinson syndrome is, but it's associated with iron deficiency anemia.
And I understand that a Frito pie is is a common treat. I get that. But even with that, you're mixing it with other things. How many people are actually just around eating Fritos on their own? And that's what you're going to name the company after? I'm sorry.
Okay, do you want to? I know you have a few hours more of this, and
No,
I've heard it
just
before.
Go ahead. You do your little lesson.
Okay, I want to give you a platform because I know you're passionate about this, and like you've written to Congress and whatever. But so anyway, to remember this association in Plummer-Vinson Syndrome, I imagine a plumber who can't swallow food working on some iron pipes. So it's iron deficiency anemia associated with difficulty swallowing. That's how I remember it.
And that excites you, that like you imagine
it
that
gets me
in your
super
mind,
pumped.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I imagine a plumber who can't swallow, like your Uncle Vincent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just imagine him working on some iron pipes. Oh yeah. Nothing gets me more excited than that.
It sounds like, yeah, you're like closing your eyes and you're like,
I'm like, yes.
and you're like really trying to to conjure this image.
This is medicine, man. This is my jam, my absolute
Yes.
bro. Yes. So patients with Plummer-Vinson syndrome will have difficulty swallowing, also known as dysphagia, and they will have iron deficiency anemia that is not caused by blood loss. So Plummer-Vinson syndrome occurs higher up in the throat or more proximal than Schatzki's ring, and the rings associated with Plummer-Vinson syndrome are easily detected on barium swallows studies of the esophagus. The treatment for Plummer-Vinson syndrome is with iron replacement first, and that may lead to a resolution of the lesion.
And honestly, I would much rather you use that as sort of a memory tool, the imagining the plumber thing, than using the word bitch like you have used in the past to remember certain medical terms, because it like helped with alliteration or something.
Yeah, there was a hepatic illness that I mentioned. There's a mnemonic.
I mean, you don't have to explain yourself.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like I have to a little bit. Anyway, so just saying, if you want to go back through and listen to that lecture I gave, that's the mnemonic that I learned with. Maybe there's a better one out there, but I haven't found it. That's all. Mm-hmm. All right. But I feel like you're impassioned, still angry at Frito-Lay. I'm kind of feeling like we can move on here. Are we good?
Well, all the chips rhyme, so that's the thing. Is just like you could pick any one. Why can't it be Dorito-Lays?
Yeah, and
like you don't even have to. You could just change out a couple letters on the sign. You don't even have to like commit to some huge branding change or something.
Yeah, and
Tostito-Lays.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this is the right venue for it. We do have 4 or 5 listeners now. We lost 2 because they reached a certain age. Anyway, let's move on from there.
They realized their greatest fear, we should say.
Yes, they did.
That's how they described it in those final moments.
Okay, well let's move on from there.
Okay.
Cameron, you said that we have a guest today. Is that right?
That is correct, Dr. London. We have one of the most special guests that we've ever had on this entire show.
Oh.
Easily.
Is it? Okay.
Top 60, top 70, like absolutely.
Okay. Do I need to guess it then? That's our usual.
No, I mean you can do just whatever you want with that information. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Okay, because I know Elon Musk's personal assistant is like kind of the brains behind the whole operation, and I know you've been talking them up.
Yeah.
So
brains behind the Frito-Lay Corporation.
Yes.
You should specify. You made it sound like it would be for Tesla, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean to. Yeah. For Frito-Lay and for. And I know they were talking up the idea of sour cream and onion being a big part of Fritos, and why didn't we mention that? Once again, I don't think we should get into that really, but if that is our guest,
you keep bringing it up.
Okay. Hello there.
You keep leading the conversation to very chip adjacent discussions. And that's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'll back off. Off.
Please back off. Hello there. My name is Dr. LondonSmith.com and the sub-producer Cameron. And what was your name?
Hi there. Hello. My name's Buckley. You You may recognize me from the front of technology magazines of the 1990s. Back in the days when it was, the Richard Branson, Bill Gates, and then number 3 on everyone's lips, Buckley.
Yes,
I just got this month's issue of Tech from the 90s.
Yes.
And yeah, you were on it. You were on the October issue.
Yeah, finally.
I've got a lot of free time these days, and when they do these throwback magazine cover editorials, I can't say no.
None of my friends know about Bill Gates, but I say, no, I've got all this info from the 90s, and he's actually a big deal. And so to meet someone who's on his, 2 levels down, wow. Okay, so so in the 90s is when you were really going.
Well, look, I would say that, I'm an inventor. I'm an ideas man. An ingenue, if you will.
I'm sorry, Dr. London doesn't keep up with like technology or anything like that. So of course I'm familiar with who you are, but you can explain to Dr. London because he's more of a commoner with this kind of stuff.
But of course, I would say that perhaps my creation has outgrown the creator, if you will, as a veritable Frankenstein's monster situation, in which I invented the USB. The
USB.
Yes, the Universal Serial Bus. So named because I invented it on the bus. Yes, indeed. And do you know what? I invented it on the bus in London.
Oh.
So another connection.
So bus was red.
Yes, a big red bus, big red double-decker bus.
Oh, are you in the UK? How do you feel about this Frito-Lay's conversation, given that it's called Walkers over there?
Indeed, so yes, what you refer to as Lay's crisps, we call Walker's crisps here. They have exactly the same logo.
We would never say the word crisp in this country. I'm sorry,
I couldn't
sir.
stand to say that. No.
Oh, it's making me sick to my stomach.
What we call chips, you call fries. But also, I must confess, I have no idea what a Frito is, and I certainly have never seen a Frito pie.
Exactly. Thank you. It is not one of their main chips or crisps. And this is one of the most important things that we've ever had to talk about on this show. I'm sorry, we're going on a rant again. I apologize.
No, hold on. Because you say you haven't heard of a Frito pie. I've never seen a mincemeat pie. And I've heard you guys have those over there.
Well, yes, confusingly, we have 2 things that you might call a mince pie. It could be beef mince in a pie, or it could be a delicious spiced fruit dessert that you eat at Christmas time. And both of those are called mince pies, and it's entirely context dependent.
Okay.
See, over here, beef mints are just sort of little pills that, they come in a little container. You pop them before a date or something. If you might kiss and you want your breath to have that beefy freshness, drop in a beef mint.
Yeah.
I'm going to note that down. That's a good invention. I'm trying to come up with new things. I might steal that one for later. I don't think anyone's filed for the patent in the UK Intellectual Property Office.
Okay, well, hold on. Cameron, have you filed that patent yet?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't figured out that part of the patent website yet. I'm still sort of...
Which part? Which part do you get, and which part do you not get?
I'm on the About Us page right now. I'm hoping to get over to the how to file page pretty soon. I'm working through it. I'm kind of binging the file patent website right now.
Okay. Yeah. So Buckley. That was your name, correct?
Yes, Buckley. Just one name, like Madonna or Jesus.
Yeah. He doesn't have any others associated with him.
Yeah.
So you invented the USB, and for one thing, are you just raking it in still? Because I actually have an USB on this computer that I'm using. Multiple USBs.
Yeah, you must be rolling in it, right?
Are you familiar with the story about the Russian gentleman who invented Tetris, but then he never actually made any money from it until maybe 5 years ago? You know that story?
No, what's the story?
That's basically what I just said. He invented Tetris.
My understanding was he didn't patent it properly or get the copyrights for it, and it was so easy to emulate that you ended up with even major companies like Nintendo ripping it off entirely.
Precisely that. That's not what happened to me. What happened to me was I made lots of money from it.
Oh, wow.
I developed a crippling gambling addiction.
Oh.
I play a lot of mobile phone games with microtransactions.
You only brought up the Tetris thing to really shove it in his face, huh?
Oh yes, no, look, anything I can get over on any other inventor.
Yeah.
I'm there.
It's a very competitive, like psychologically competitive market.
Oh yes.
So you've probably made billions of dollars, and you're saying, I mean, how much have you gambled away on these
mobile
these
phone
mobile phone
apps,
games?
which I assume came out significantly after the time whenever you first made your profits.
Yes, so look, I was living the life of luxury.
Sure,
I was
yeah.
really, yachts, second home, third home.
Whoa.
I was, like 5 cars, don't even have a driving license. But, really, I was really living it up from, like, the mid-90s until, like, 2016, 17.
Oh, wow. So even
then-
even like a full decade after the iPhone came out,
Oh,
it
yes,
took you
but,
a while to get hooked.
Yeah, well, this predatory microtransaction, I believe they're called gacha games. They've
Yeah.
really only come to the front, at least in Western society, quite recently. I think they've been quite big in Japan for some time. But no, really, I was blind to the whole thing. For a tech inventor, I'm something of a Luddite, and I had a Nokia 3310 until 2016.
Oh, wow.
I played a lot of Snake.
Right, and
but,
very few microtransactions on a Snake on a Nokia phone.
No. I mean, I tried.
Yeah.
I thrust money at the screen.
Oh, of
but-
course.
Yeah.
Trying to put your
I tr-
quarter through the
Who
little,
wouldn't?
like, the slot
The
where
charger?
the plastic separates
Oh,
on
okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to swipe my credit card, but the battery pack just kept opening up on the back of the phone.
Yeah.
But 2016, I started these microtransactions, and I would say conservatively, I've spent upwards of £3 billion.
Oh, wow.
Which I think's about maybe $4.5 billion.
4.5 billion pounds of Walker's crisps. I believe that's sort of how we measure
That's
a
how
lot
we
of
measure.
our
Yeah. Well, no, it wouldn't be.
Yes,
measure wealth here.
It'd actually be chips here, just to get the conversion correct. It wouldn't be
Of
crisp.
course,
It'd be
yeah.
chips here.
What are these games that hooked you so much? I mean, it's sort of surprising a man. I mean, how old are you now? If you were so successful in the 90s, not sorry if that's rude.
No. Look, I understand I look very youthful, but no, I am actually 63 years old. But I've got a very good skincare regime. That's what the rest of my fortune's gone on. If it's not gone to the mobile gacha games, it's gone to bespoke skincare products.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Even more than the yachts and the second, third, and fourth homes.
I had to sell them all to pay for both the skincare and the microtransaction
Wow.
Yeah,
addiction.
you can't choose between those.
What games captured you so much? I mean, at such a late age for something to grab your attention and sort of hold on to you like that. It must be an amazing game, right?
Look, I started out, as we all do, with your Farmvilles.
Sure, yeah.
Of
Candy
course.
The
Crushes.
sort of thing. Exactly, where you think, I only have a limited amount of energy to spend on this game, but if for just £1 here, 50
Right.
pence there, I can earn a few more energy bites that will let me perform 1 or 2 more goes. But now I've moved on to the, as I say, the gacha games, Dragalia Lost. There's one I've just started playing. It's called World Flipper. It's half Japanese RPG and half pinball.
Oh, wow.
But you can also spend money to unlock new characters for the RPG pinball game. And I would say my last £300,000 have gone down the drain on World Flipper.
Wow. Just on these characters that, I mean, I assume they're not characters from other properties, so you have no sort of interest in them or connection to them. It's just random pixels you just saw and you said, I have to spend money to get that.
But here's the thing. Some of them, as you would expect, are human characters, but some of them are humanoid animal characters.
Oh.
Okay, so I haven't seen any of this on Farmville because I've been hooked on Farmville as well since 2016, but
Look,
I feel like I'm missing.
you and me with that Nokia 3310. We've moved on. We are worlds apart
Okay.
now.
Yeah, we're on to the Simpsons ripoff of Farmville, where you would pay $5 or whatever to build like Springfield Elementary. I think it was called Simpsons Touch and Go or something.
Look, they all blur together.
Well, see, because
But I loved spending money on that.
for me, I have a lot of my relatives are farmers, so this is just the only area that I really relate to and understand genetically. So for me,
Oh, Dr. London, Farmville is not going to your uncle's house and farming with him. It's a computer game. Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay. Yeah, it's not going into town with your uncle and like
no, that can't be because
planting crops.
that doesn't make sense. No, because I've put in a lot of time and money into this, and
Your uncle is like charging you
yeah, it's
for your labor?
That's like double. That's definitely a violation of human rights. I mean, to not pay you to begin with is already sketchy, even if you're family.
yeah. My
I mean,
practice
it's
has
these
suffered a
freemium
little
games,
bit.
man. They're exploitative.
Yeah.
Look at Dr. London and just how it's sucking him dry to have to go to his uncle's house and pay to help him.
Yeah, well, it's Farmville. Yeah.
Does it give you points or like coins or something?
Well, like he gives me the stats on how the farm's doing.
Oh wow.
Not great. No, it's been.
Oh wow, you're doing a bad job too.
Are there any other players of this game of Farmville that you've been partaking in, or is it just you and your uncle?
It's us for a lot of it. Like, you get on the tractor and a lot of, these games are so advanced now. The tractor's actually like GPS controlled. So like mostly you're sitting there on your phone. So I'm trying to manage patients on my phone while I'm playing Farmville.
Oh, you're doing like teledoc sessions while you're doing all of this.
Trying to. It's super hard with how loud that tractor is. But yeah, so I'm...
Oh yeah, I hate when I do one of those teledoc things and I have to FaceTime my doctor and they're around so much farming equipment that I can't hear them. I hate when that happens.
Actually, I was on a medical consultation with my own general practitioner, and we had a call, a video call, and all I could hear in the background was this voice shouting, "Shear that sheep! Shear that sheep!"
Oh wow. So
it's distracting.
Okay, Dr. London, I apologize for saying that this was not Farmville. It sounds like a lot of the medical community is very invested in this game, so I take it back. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, it's just you're always so critical of saying like, "Oh, you elitist, you aren't in touch with the common man." I'm out here getting some dirt under my nails, sitting on a tractor that's GPS controlled and harvesting all this cotton while I am doing telemedicine on my phone.
Yeah, while you're FaceTiming patients.
Yeah.
Sure.
Look. Also, if you don't mind me asking, next time I'm across your side of the pond, if you could put me in touch with your uncle, I wouldn't mind getting in on this.
Farmville?
Oh yes, please. Look, if there's spending money involved to upgrade the farm, I'm in.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So, Buckley, so you're not trying to like actually stop this addiction or reduce it in any way. It seems like you're
I am.
on board with it.
No, look, I just got caught up in the discussion with about Farmville. It took me back. No, you're right. I really am. I'm trying to cut down, and also, I'm running out of money. I'm down to one home, one car, some sort of 12th century peasant.
yeah, or
Well,
like
you have
the
your
American dream.
You still have your backup home, right?
No. I had to sell the backup home for
Wait,
World Flipper.
The back, but then where do you put all your stuff? You have to have the backup home to fill all of your goods and
How do you
services.
manage? Yeah.
Look. I had to sell a lot of my goods as well, and what I had left, if it didn't fit in the first home, I've had to put it into to a storage unit. And I'm afraid if I default on that storage unit one more month, then it's going to end up on some sort of scripted reality television program.
Oh no, and people are going to be yelling, pointing at your stuff, speculating how much it's worth, and it's going to be like way less than what you thought, and you're like, oh, this is my stuff that they're kind of ripping apart right now.
precisely my worry. That's why I've got to get. I've had the old inventing cap on again.
Right.
Oh, okay. So you're trying to come up with some new stuff.
Yeah. So beef mince.
Or beef mince. That's in the back pocket for now.
Yeah.
I was going a little bit more old school. I was aligning myself a little bit more with my previous success. You say, stick to what you know, and also brings me to the more medical aspect of where we are.
Okay.
Because, as I heard you mention before I chipped in, you were talking about the cloud and how cloud storage is the in thing now.
Yes.
People are moving away from, flash drive, USB storage devices. So I thought, how do we make the USB cool again? And I came to the conclusion that perhaps some sort of cosmetic surgery which implants either a USB storage device or indeed a USB port anywhere in the human body could be my next port of call in the old inventing game.
I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a movie kind of famous for something similar. It's not as I guess elegant as the USB port, but there's a movie called The Matrix where they have a hole in the back of their head that serves a similar purpose. They're coming out with a new version this fall. What if you got ahead of that?
Look, I've not heard of this movie. When did this movie come out? The Matrix.
Oh gosh.
Would have been after your magazine.
I remember Torn by
So we're
Natalie
talking-
Imbruglia was on the radio a lot.
So look, if we're talking late 90s, early noughties, I don't remember a lot of that time, as you can probably imagine, being a quick rise to stardom billionaire at the time when, cocaine was really flowing like water in London. It's a time of my life that I would love to remember, but I just physically can't.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely... You guys had Spice World Mania going on, and...
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look,
So...
well, in any case, so just to tell you about this movie, just because I feel like your idea would really work with it. So the concept of the Matrix is that this guy, Neo, they plug him in to this computer, and then, if I remember right,
karate.
he does karate. Yeah.
And so is it going to be like a karate teaching tool?
Is it
Like you plug
Yeah.
it in and
Is
you
it
know
that?
karate? Because that would be very useful for a lot of the people that I fight, because a lot of them don't know any sort of martial arts. And so it feels very unfair. It's like, I'm just kicking this
you
guy's
still lose
ass.
to them? Oh, well, I mean, you lose to them, but
It's a draw,
It would look
usually.
cooler.
It ends up being a draw.
Look,
okay, that's what you want to call it.
I'm taking notes on all of this, but if you're really, you're sparking my creative juices here. If we're talking about people literally jacking into something in the back of their head, and then they're transported into some sort of simulation,
Yeah,
I think I can
that's-
think of a way to monetize this, which comes right in line with the other thing that I know a lot about, which is microtransactional video games.
Oh, this is genius. So
Wait,
in the Matrix, like,
just real quick, it hasn't been invented yet. You're saying that you want to monetize the plugging in. So plugging in hasn't been done yet. That was fictional. To
Look,
my
but you've got
understanding.
to, Dr. Lennon, you've got to build monetization plans to get investors.
Do you think
Okay.
anyone said to Jeff Bezos, they said, you can't sell books on the internet. That doesn't exist yet. No.
No, his
That's
parents
true.
said, "Here's
Yeah, they would
$3
never
million.
said
Go do what you want with it." And he
think-
took that $3 million and he pulled up his bootstraps and he built his company from the ground up.
Self-made.
And do you think anyone said to Harold Netflix, no one streams, you can't stream a movie over the internet because that doesn't exist. Just do a DVD instead.
Yeah. And you know what Harold said? He said, "Get out of my house. Stop telling me this at so late at
Exactly.
night, Cameron."
Exactly. So
Love that quote.
all I look, you've got me going. I'm going to watch this movie, The Matrix. I'm going to see how they have purported it might be done in some sort of science fictional scenario, and then it's A to B. It's A to B.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what are the
just once again, I don't know if they made a how-to
Look
on it.
You've just got to read between the lines.
Dr. London, you don't know tech again.
No, that's true. And even if they had explained it, I don't think I would have been able to
No.
figure it out. I wouldn't have been able to follow.
Dr. London doesn't know coding or JavaScript or any sort of the hacking materials that sort of us
Medical
tech
scripts.
geniuses.
I know. I know how to write.
Okay, but is that related to jQuery?
Prescription. Is that a patient?
Well, I have no idea if it's a patient.
Okay, I think it might be, but it's hard to hear on the tractor.
This is all irrelevant. So, I mean, we can kind of help you out here real quick and sort of come up with some monetization ideas to really make this. So we're talking about jacking into a simulation of the real
With
world.
a USB.
Has to be
Has
USB.
to be a USB port, because I've got a lot of them lying around. It's pretty much all I've got in my storage unit, and I would like to empty it out before they sell it
Okay,
on
so this
storage
is just
wars.
unloading stuff
So-
to some extent.
Everything is converting to that USB-C now, right? Like even my MacBook over here, to charge it is now that USB-C. I know you're not getting any. Are you getting any of the money from that?
No, look, it's like, you've got TED Talks, and then you've got TEDx Talks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it's an independent thing, which, riding the wave. It's like that. It's nothing. The technology is completely unrelated to the USB. They just,
okay.
They added a C on the end. The courts ruled that it was different enough that no one would be confused and think that it was related to the original product. So no, I'm getting nothing from USB-C.
So you already had USB-A and USB-B. Were you planning on a C, and then someone just sort of like came in and got the name?
Yeah, so look, USB-A is the default USB that we think of when we think USB. That's it.
Yeah.
USB-B was actually a peripheral product for USB-A, which was a B that you could plug in to your USB socket, and then it would buzz around your house. If you got enough of them,
Yeah.
they would make like a synthetic honey. It never really took off. That's pretty much when my financial troubles started to go
Even though the
downhill.
bees are dying out.
And USB-C,
Well,
they are.
if I remember
That's
correctly,
exactly.
if I remember correctly, the issue was that it was exactly like honey, except for a very, very short expiration window. So,
Yeah,
honey,
so
famously, you can sort of just keep it forever. This, it would only stay good for
That
35
and the metal
minutes. And so
shards.
people were sort of having to
Yeah.
consume a massive amount of honey, and it just became too cumbersome.
Yes, I will say I've got a lot of expired synthetic honey also sitting in my storage unit along with
Oh,
all
wow.
of the leftover
that's gotta be
USB
worth
ports.
something.
But yes,
I would
so
say
if we're jacking,
I was
if
going
we're
to say,
jacking people in, it's USB-A. It's USB-A all the way.
okay, the old school classic USB jacking into the Matrix. So while you're or the Matrix, I'm sorry. Oh, don't make fun of me for that mispronunciation, Dr. London. But while we're in there, what are we doing to really,
Hang out.
steal people's money?
What are we doing? Okay, I thought we were through the eyes of the one jacking it. So as the ones in control of the system.
Well, no, you said
Yes.
hang out. Okay, how can we make money on people hanging out?
Loitering tax. Yeah.
I like it.
So if you're-
or we serve virtual alcohol and charge for it, because that's how the bars make money from people hanging out in a bar.
I had no idea.
That's a good idea, but I think we can microtransaction that even more. What if you had to pay for every sip, but it's just like 5 cents? You're like, oh, it's just a nickel. It's really, really cheap, but just to have one sip. Because that's a big part of microtransactions, is constantly charging people every tiny little thing, penny by penny.
And if I may add an extra step, just to even confuse matters further, what I've learned from microtransactions in mobile gaming is that what you need to do is you need to make up your own in-game currency. You charge people for that.
Yes.
And then you charge per sip in-game currency, so their brain doesn't associate it with real money.
It's the Chuck E. Cheese model, where you get a bunch of coins and then that's your currency for the day. And then you try to go to Target afterwards and use those coins, and they're like, no, you can't buy clothes with these Chuck E. Cheese coins.
And sorry, for our listeners across the pond, and for you, Buckley, so a Target is kind of like a store.
Yeah, what's the comparison? Is it
Like a Big Debenhams.
I have to assume.
exactly. And a Chuck E. Cheese, I assume, would be like a
I feel like that would
Charles-
immediately translate. Everyone, any country.
Sir Charles Cheese.
I'll be honest, we don't have Chuck E. Cheese. What we, I guess the closest we would have is you would go to something like a Harvester's or basically you go somewhere, you get a roast dinner, and it sometimes has a small play area where you dump your children. What I will say, what we don't have is the mouse.
You don't have
That's,
animatronic talking
yeah.
creatures?
No, we
I-
don't.
See,
What a culture shock,
the
honestly.
mouse. It's really not Chuck E. Cheese without the mouse part, because the games and stuff, you don't usually have time to play them because you're being chased by the mouse the whole time. That's the whole thing. You go there, you're eating your pizza and stuff, but you're being
You're
chased by this
terrified
giant
the whole time.
mouse.
Oh, it's
Yeah. So you get all these coins to play these games, but you barely have time to play the games. It sucks. I hate
and you
going
can
to
tell
Chuck E. Cheese.
that the creatures are slowly gaining sentience. Like they are
Yes.
they are
Oh my
starting
gosh.
to, their eyes will wander a little bit more than what they physically should be able to. They start whispering stuff to you. But it's going to Chuck E. Cheese. It's awesome. But like this is just a part of the experience. Like the rat up there will like start to say like, "Hey man, hey, what's up? You want to get out of here?" And you're like, "Oh well, no, I'm here to have this terrible pizza," and I'll be like,
I had one ask me if I had seen Avatar.
"Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, like a really long time ago, I guess. He's like, oh, cool, yeah. It's a lot better than people say. I was like, yeah, I mean, no one hates it, really. It was just like, it was really popular. And then it was not. And he was like, oh, yeah, but I think it really holds up. And I just wanted to play the damn games.
I'm sorry. This is
Anyway,
such a
I'm
cultural
losing my mind
difference
over this.
that I do feel like we're going too much into it, but that's just a part of America. So anyway, in those transactions, you get the Chuck E. Cheese coins, take them to Walmart or take them to Target or to the Harvest Man's place, and microtransactions.
It doesn't work there.
Yes.
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 Look, I think everyone listening will fully understand
Yes, absolutely.
how we've mapped those two things onto each other.
And
Flawless.
so we need to come up with matrix monies. That's what we can call it. That's the in-game currency,
M&Ms.
is matrix monies.
MMs, yes.
And so if you want to buy $1 of matrix monies, that's going to cost you like $75 of people monies.
And then 1 matrix cent is a sip. And they think,
Yes.
just a penny?
Yeah.
That's nothing. But actually, that penny is actually 75 cents.
Yeah,
for a sip.
exactly. It's barely anything, and I really want a digital sip.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, maybe a digital version of a certain fall beer that gives you a lust for life.
Look, if we can work your microbrew into this, microbrew microtransactions.
Oh. MMMMs.
What if
Yes.
what if we, just to throw out a suggestion here, in the Matrix, it's like you plug yourself in and it's the entire world. But if everyone is just going to bars because that's sort of what we put our marketing towards because that's the monetization, let's just have it all be you just jack in and you're just only in a bar and that's
Yeah.
it.
It's not
But
And-
maybe some different styles
Yeah.
of bar.
just
Oh, yeah. Like, so it can be a really divey, like, scroungy bar, or it could be like a really upscale Chuck E. Cheese that has alcohol.
a Dave and Buster's, yeah.
And of course, in Britain we have pubs, pub culture. So we'd have to have some
Okay.
proper old school British
So
pubs.
three-
So you feel like you're in the English
Okay, so we'll have-
countryside.
As long as it's not open world.
And then with the pubs,
because people
you
hate
can
open world.
You can serve chips, and then you can say, "Oh, just half a chip. That's only 2 pennies."
And this, hold on,
precisely.
which kind of chip are we talking about?
Ooh, I don't know.
At this
honestly.
point, I don't know
I'm
what's
so
American
lost.
anymore either.
It's nonsense. Yeah.
Look, I'll say, look, we can have both kinds of chips. And look, let's push the boat out. Since we're gambling anyway, let's have poker chips as well.
That's fair.
Yes, absolutely.
That I can follow.
And if you want to eat a poker chip, that costs like $1.
When you say British chips or American chips, I don't follow. But when you say poker chips, I'm back in. And I'm all in. See?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was really cool.
Poker.
Thank you. Okay, so I feel like we kind of got this. We got everything we need to monetize this invention that hasn't actually been invented yet. So we're in a great spot to do what I kind of hate to have to bring up now, but we have to do some chores. Okay.
Real quick though, are we getting a cut on this Matrix invention now? Because we're sort of creative directors. It sounds like.
Beyond that, I'm going to need a little bit more assistance because I've got the USBs. What I don't have is the medical know-how to put them in the back of somebody's skull.
It's not my specialty per se.
You'll get your cut, but only once those USBs have been jammed right into the back of somebody's head.
I feel like that's probably pretty easy. I mean, Dr. London, your head has 7 holes?
Yeah, but only if
one of those has to be USB.
I was going to say only a few are USB sized, but
yeah, okay.
I normally put other my gum in there sometimes.
Well, USB compliant.
I don't. Let me feel. Yeah, no, that one is. How many do we need? Because I don't have that many.
Well, I think one per person is probably fine, but people might want to jack into 2 different bars at once, so maybe two to be safe.
The ultimate experience. Imagine being in 2 bars at once.
Whoa!
Wow, the dream.
We can only dream for now.
So I think just the solution to that is stick the USB up your nose, and then you're in, right?
And I'm glad that that this podcast is marketed towards 90+ age people now, because if you tell that to the wrong age, they could run with the message to an unhealthy degree.
I think at least we're fortunate in that children's orifices are generally smaller than those
that's
of
something
an
to be
adult,
thankful
so
for.
it's much harder for a child to get a USB, at least a USB-A up their nostril, whereas a USB-C, which, again, I have no affiliation with, that'll fit right up.
And that's a danger, and that's something that we can campaign against.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Down with USB-C, it's a danger to your child.
Get rid of USB-C.
All right.
Are the improved speeds worth your child's life?
Because it will kill your child,
It'll kill your child, and depends on your line of work, I guess. But I would assume for most parents, that trade-off isn't worth it.
Yeah, for most parents. Okay, well, once
you
again,
want to do the chore wheel is what you're trying to say.
We have to get chores done, and I can't.
Do you want me to explain this?
Yeah, if you could.
So here, all of our listeners and our new listeners, here is the issue. Dr. London and I are very, very busy people. And when you're a very, very busy person, you unfortunately neglect your to-do list. All of the things that you're supposed to get done in any given week, Dr. London and I haven't really been doing.
Not as much as I should.
We haven't been taking out the trash. We haven't been doing the dishes. We haven't trimmed our toes.
Haven't wiped down
Not the toenails, but the actual toes themselves.
Yeah.
Haven't done that in weeks.
They're overgrown.
So we got clever, and we created this fun chore wheel that has all of our tasks that we need to get done on it. And every single week, we give that bad boy a spin, and whatever it lands on, that is the chore that we do. And Buckley, as our esteemed guest, could you give that wheel a big old spin?
It would be my honor and my privilege. Do you want me to spin it and read it out, or do you want me to spin it and you read it out?
A little this, a little of that. Look, first, let's get the spin, and we'll all read it.
I'll spin it first.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. On 3. 1, 2. It's a spinach.
Oh.
Oh, not this one. Okay, this.
Oh, damn.
I
hate that
don't want to
we
read
this
it.
one.
I
We have to do it, though, Dr. Lynn. We
Okay.
always have to do our chores.
okay. Do you want to say? Do you want? I don't want any of us to say it because I hate this one so much.
Okay, fine. I'll say it.
Okay.
We have to figure out what to do with our financial surplus this year. And I hate having to do that.
For those who haven't had this problem, and it's a huge problem, so some companies, whenever they kind of get advanced, they're always just trying to keep up with, just the world, and they've used all their finances appropriately, and so they break even. The goal is always to barely break even.
Yes.
We keep having so much money left over.
It's
at the end of the fiscal year.
Unfortunately, come to the end of our fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts, of course, on Halloween. And so we've got to figure out how to use the rest of our money before it gets to that date, or otherwise we end up losing that money on our fiscal budget next year.
It's so frustrating.
Dr. Lynn, do you want to check the account and see how money we got to spend real quick?
Yeah, let me hack it. Let me just let me switch that over there. Okay. Yeah, so it's $42 million.
Dang it.
I know, and this happens every year. So
these things do technically have to be business expenses, right? Yeah. So what if we put some of this money towards this new USB invention?
Yeah, so like $500,000 we can put into that.
I mean,
let's.
I won't fight you on
$5,000.
And I promise it will go towards the USB invention, and I will make sure it's in a separate account to any of my microtransaction money.
Because he did say he's working on his addiction, and usually if someone says that they're working on their addiction, they're kind of good to go.
Yeah.
So you can definitely be trusted with. You said 500,000. I think maybe like 5 million.
Okay.
I mean, Buckley, how much do you need to get started? How much would you need to get just a single marshmallow beer in your matrix?
Look, let's say to get started, I think 5 million sounds like a good number.
Okay.
Not just because that's the number that you just said, but that's what I was thinking of too. Look, great minds think alike.
And £5 million, $5 million, it's all the same thing. Everything is the same now. We're all the same.
Yeah.
And when this post-COVID New World Order kicks in and we're all on a single currency to usher in the apocalypse, it'll be so much easier, this financial currency situation.
Ugh.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so $5 million to that. That's from $42 million. Okay, what else is there? I
would
brunch.
love a pair of shoes. Oh.
Okay.
We could focus on brunch. That's fine. I've just been asking for shoes for a really long time.
Yeah, but it's
you
not.
You keep saying we'll get around to it later.
Yeah.
It's just my feet.
But you
hurt.
You
really
only wear
badly.
the really.
I really love a pair of shoes.
I feel like you're too spoiled.
I get that, and I'm trying to work on my materialism. But if I could just have like $35 to get a pair of shoes,
you know what? If I could just have more. If I could just have more. If I could just have more.
I hear myself too. You don't have to mock me for it. It's just I just was hoping to. I mean, thick socks, Dr. London. Just a pair of thick socks so I could just protect my feet a little bit. Would be awesome.
So we budgeted. And I'm sorry, Buckley, that you have to be a part of this part. This is sort of the internal social aspect.
Finances is fascinating to me. I've never understood it. Probably why I'm broke.
This is the financial world, as cruel as it is. But yes, Cameron, we have invested in gallon Ziploc bags, and we gave 2 of them to you to use as shoes.
Okay, but why does the water have to be really hot that you put in the Ziploc? Why does there have to be water in the Ziploc bags at all?
I feel like you're answering your own question. I
don't. There's so many steps to all of this. I have to fill the bags with water. I have to keep the water hot because you said it has to be a certain temperature.
Yeah. And we have the thermometers that would measure appropriately and be easily readable on your wrist. That was an expense. So It's
You
not.
built an Apple Watch app to monitor my
yeah.
water Ziploc bag shoes.
And it worked, didn't it? A little.
Yeah, I mean, my running speed was better than ever for sure.
Yeah. Which, yeah. And you ask why, but then
Okay,
you don't
that's
look at.
true. All right,
Yeah. So
I'm sorry for the complaints.
yeah, apology
Buckley,
accepted.
I gotta ask. I mean, I know you've had financial issues recently, but before like 2016, you were living the sweet life. It sounded like yachts.
Yes.
So
The
I mean,
sweetest.
surely you've run into this issue before where you just have too much money and
Way
you
too
gotta
much.
spend it.
Gotta get rid
what
of
do you can you suggest some business expenses we could come up with?
Obviously not shoes.
Look, I'll tell you. I want to tell you what I did.
Okay.
Was I would just hire people to do whatever. You know, you can call it a business expense, but you know, like you could hire someone who literally their only job is to fill up those bags on your feet with the water, so you don't have to do it
Okay.
yourself.
To maintain the
know,
temperature. Yes. Maybe we could even hire.
and a separate person for the thermometer. You know,
Okay.
you just keep hiring people until you've run out of expenses, out of surplus money, and then you're also stimulating the economy.
Yeah, we're actually helping our fellow man.
Patriotic. So instead of I feel like for that it's going to be more expensive to hire someone. Well, which I guess that is what we want. I was going to say we could hire someone to be a shoe for each of the feet,
Look, that too.
but
that would
the-
be fantastic. Yeah, that'd be so much better than the bags.
and then I guess we'd have to have still have to have the third person monitoring temperature and wetness. So that'd be 4 people.
Yeah, moisture is a big part of it for you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's just
You always bring
skincare
that up.
routine. If you want to look
But
like
I mean,
Buckley,
that is a really good idea. Like we are pretty understaffed. DJ Dylan does most of our cooking, our cleaning,
producing.
He does a lot of the tasks.
Yeah. He manages
And,
your feet to some extent.
So I mean, we could get DJ Dylan an assistant.
Yeah.
I'd prefer if it was someone who looked exactly like DJ Dylan, but at like a 2/3 scale. So it's sort of like a mini DJ Dylan.
It would simplify things. Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
if you've got 42 million, you can.
Well, we can hire.
Sorry,
Yeah.
37 million.
Yeah,
5 years
yeah.
coming to me, but 37 million, you can hire someone who looks exactly like him. You can pay for their surgery to make.
Well,
them
yeah,
look
we'd have to
like
hire a
him.
casting director at that point, I
Yeah.
think. And then,
Yes, probably a team.
yeah. Yeah.
Get a full team of
Scouts.
people. Get a 2/3
Talent.
scale DJ Dylan.
Talent scouts at local parks and malls.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of, backstage. Okay.
I'd love to get a trainer, like a personal trainer, but not one that is just going to teach me exercises. I want them to do the exercises on my body as I sleep.
Yeah.
So I want them to grab my arms and then they do all the stuff while I'm taking my naps.
Yeah. So, let's see. That's.
They're called human gyms. They cost
this is a
$5 million a
thing.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a real thing. For a second, I thought that you might have just been BSing it. And it was silly and funny, but obviously we don't do silly, funny stuff on the podcast.
No, this isn't a
all-
comedy show. Yeah.
No, this is all financial.
They're
world.
human gyms, $5 million, and they just function as a gym.
Okay. So I guess.
You can also swing off of them and stuff. Like you can use them as a gym.
Okay.
When you're awake, but it's mostly made for when you're sleeping.
So we'll just get a dozen of those. Really.
Okay.
That's, or however many we can get for what we have left. And then we'll, for all the staff.
And then for the rest of the money, do we want to just throw a big pizza party with the remaining $25 million?
Yeah, those are tax write-off. Yes. Pizza parties.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just throw a big pizza party, $25 million. I mean, that can get you, I gotta say,
Extra
like
large.
30, 40 extra large. The Shack. Have you seen the Papa John's Shackaroni pizza? It's the biggest pizza they've ever had, Dr. London.
I live in a different state, but I've seen the
Yeah.
pizza from here. Yes.
And so have to imagine with the size, our friend Shaq, friend of the show,
Very good friend.
I have to imagine it's probably about $1 million a pizza. So we can get like 25 of those. We're good.
Easy.
Are we missing anything?
I think we've really got our budget. I mean,
missing a pair, just a
I
pair
just-
of shoes.
I
or
just
something like
hate
that?
this.
Just a
budget
Just like a
surplus.
$30 pair of shoes or something.
Are you really
just a normal?
You gonna take it back to that? Anyway, so now we just have to destroy the chore wheel because we obviously finished this chore, and because it's all sort of laid out in a particular way. We had new chores every week. We take some off. We'd have to destroy it. So,
Buckley, would you like to destroy the chore wheel by shooting it with our guns? We as Americans, of course, you can see there's a bunch of guns lying around.
Yes,
I'm sure
yes,
that
yes,
must be a fun treat for you.
First thing I noticed when I came into the studio, I thought, wow, there's a lot of American flags in here, and there's also a lot of guns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
we're super patriotic in the sense of arming ourselves against our own nation. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Look, what about this one? Look, I've never fired a gun before. Desert Eagle. That looks like an easy starting gun.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's great
yeah,
for the
perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, look, let me just line that up at the wheel.
Oh,
I think I might have dislocated my shoulder in the process, but
Yes.
That wheel is pardon my French, absolutely
Yeah, I mean it's bleeding out right now.
and I guess
I think we did a good job.
speak French since you're so close geographically. That makes sense.
May we?
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, chores done. I feel like we've gotten so much done today. We took care of our budget. We learned about my cultural roots on the farm.
Yep.
We learned about the USB A, B, C as well.
Not C,
Yes.
not
Oh,
C.
not C. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Learned a lot about the Frito-Lay Corporation.
Oh boy. Okay. And I don't want that to be the note we end. Buckley, is there any way for listeners to hear from you going forward? Like after this episode ends, is there a way for them to track you or anyone you're a fan of?
Look, I'm a big fan of a particular improvised comedy group here in the UK called the Spontaneous Players. So if you search for the Spontaneous Players on any social media, that'll come up. They do a lot of very fun improvised Sherlock Holmes and improvised Harry Potter epics right throughout the UK, and hopefully now that the pandemic seems to be on the decline, perhaps even abroad and further afield. So check that out. I will be returning back to my only one home and
I'm
tinkering
so sorry.
away with my USBAs. No, I see great things on the horizon once we get our project off the ground, boys.
And
And
even
you know
easier.
what? If you need a backup home, you can use one of Dr. London and I's. It breaks my heart to hear someone not having a backup home.
Well, look, I've still got a jet, so I'll pop across and visit very shortly.
Yeah, you had to sell
great.
everything except the jet.
Except the jet. Let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's because that generates money.
That's the miracle of flight.
Yeah, you're gonna
Like
sell
you're gonna
your
give
miracle?
that up?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, thank you to Buckley, our guest. Thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Did You Don the Hose? Did You Don the Hose? The existential dread is something.
First thing I noticed when I came into the studio, I thought, wow, there's a lot of American flags in here, and there's also a lot of guns. I've never fired a gun before. Desert Eagle, that looks like an easy starting gun.
Yeah, we're super patriotic in the sense of arming ourselves against our own nation. Yes. My name is Dr. LondonSmith.com, and this has been the Jock Podcast.
See ya.